Dan Illman, Mike Beer, the Grade 3 Canadian Turf is race number 11 at Gulfstream Park on Fountain of Youth Saturday. Let's take a peek at this field. It's an evenly matched group of horses, Mike. There's no doubt about it. 4-1, morning line favorite down towards the rail. That's the number 1, Hey Dakota, who has won 2 of 3 starts since being claimed by Jason Service. We'll talk about him in a bit. You see the 9 Gidou, 8-1 for Todd Pletcher. He is a pure speed. The 6 Gemontier, last time he hooked up with Gidou, he is kind of a pure speed, which is why as we throw up the Timeform US pace projector, I am surprised to see that Gidou and Gemontier are not battling it out in a red bar scenario. Timeform US fairly confident Gidou's faster.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Maybe he is faster, Dad, if they both decide to just go out there running. I think Gidou might be the faster horse, but last time that really wasn't the case. Gemontier put a lot of pressure on Gidou on the lead, and they both paid the price.
Hey Dakota's got some back class. He was a graded stakes winner way back in 2016, and maybe he's returning to that form for Service. As I mentioned, he's won 2 out of his last 3 races, and he just got a perfect ride from Arad Ortiz last time out. His first start as a 7-year-old. Let's watch this race right now. Solid pace up front. You see Sombaye, yellow cap, part of that pace. Made the first run, going wider. Slipping through in between horses right now is Hey Dakota. Sombaye is going to try to put him in a little bit tight. Undaunted, Hey Dakota's going to roar on through, although I wonder if Sombaye is feeling the layoff right about here.
Yeah, Sombaye is off a layoff. It is something to consider. He didn't run poorly at all in this race, but Hey Dakota, I think this horse has really taken a step forward since Service claimed him. He's 2 for 3 off the claim for Service. I really liked that win from him, Dan. I know that things ultimately worked out for him, but he had to make one move just to catch up to the field around the turn, and then he had to come through between the stretches. Saw how tight it got for him. He was unfazed by that. This horse is in good form right now.
Give him some pace, and he will come running as he did last time out. And I believe there'll be a little bit more pace than Timeform US believes. Caribou Club, Mike, I thought it was a little cold on the board in the Tampa Bay last time out. His first start off a bit of a layoff. He was coming off big buyer speed figure performances in races in New York and Laurel, and he was just flat. He didn't run his A race, to be sure. We know he can run a lot better than that, and he has more tactical speed than the horse down on the rail. Maybe that last running line just inflates his price, and at least he bounced out of that race with a bullet work for a good trainer in Tom Proctor.
Yeah, I mean, if you are looking for a bounce-back candidate, maybe this is the guy. He's got plenty of races that make him tough in here. I don't know what his excuse was last time, Dan, but that was a pretty ugly performance. He had nothing at the top of the stretch in that race. Very disappointing last time. Maybe he bounces back. I didn't want to give him another chance, Dan, mostly because I didn't like his Artie Schiller 2-back. I don't know how he lost that race.
Yeah, that was a weird race where a horse came from so far back, Curlin's Honor, to shoot up the rail and beat him. Usually a horse like Caribou Club is professional enough that when he gets a jump on a horse like Curlin's Honor, he seals the deal. He wasn't able to do it then, but maybe he can improve second start of the form cycle. Krampus won this race last year. I thought he got a great trip by Johnny V. Just kind of saved ground, tracked just off the rail, attacked on the turn, got it done. I wonder if this field, though, this year's edition of the Canadian is a little bit tougher. Krampus goes second off the bench, claimed by Michael Tomlinson out of his last start.
Yeah, it feels like more of a wide-open race this year. He just got the perfect trip last year in this race, keeping right up close to a slow pace and getting it done. But he was in good form at that time as well. It feels like maybe his form has been declining lately, so we'll see if he can bounce back. It's worth noting Michael Tomlinson off the claim over the last 5 years, 1 for 8 off the claim with turf horses over the last 5 years. The one winner, a horse he claimed from Belmont.
Huh? Interesting enough, we'll see if history repeats itself at a big price. Hembry is a horse that was in really good form during the spring and into the summer last year for Michael Maker. Graded stakes placed in both the Poker and the Forbidden Apple. In the 4-star Dave, he was outrun early. Got Stormy, Uni were in there. They're really good mares. The Tourist Mile, I don't think that trip absolutely worked out for him. Splitting horses, angling down to the rail late, getting beat by Snapper Sinclair. What happened last time?
You know, much like the horse that we talked about,
Caribou Club.
That was Caribou Club. He just didn't really fire in that race. I don't know if I have a real excuse for it in that race. They took him under a nice hard hold early. They swung him wide to the stretch. He didn't kick at all. We'll see if he can run one of his good races now, second off the layoff, because that was a relatively long layoff he was returning from last time. Maybe he just needed the race. His form throughout 2019, he was only 1 for 7, but his form throughout 2019 makes him real tough.
I think the excuse is the layoff. I think if you're willing to give him that excuse and he can bounce back to some of his triple-digit buyer efforts, all of a sudden he becomes a legitimate price play. Sombaye has a lot of upside. He had not run since Saratoga in the summer prior to the race that we saw when he was beaten by Hey Dakota. He was keyed up early. He prompted the pace. Louis Size was like, whoa, let's just rake back off that duel and relax. But the problem was, once he got into that position, he was almost immediately forced to be on the move once again when an outer foe began his brush. So really, Sombaye tried to make two moves, never got a breather. I thought it was a really good prep. I'm afraid of this horse in here from just off the pace.
Yeah, I agree with all that stuff. I mean, that was a relatively long layoff he was returning from, too, and he didn't run poorly at all. I'm not sure that I love his 2 turf races from last year, but it's only 2, Dan. He has a right to take a big step forward here. Gemantier
is very, very fast. Gate to wire winner, 2 and 3 starts back. Last time out in the tropical turf, he got hooked up with Guidou. He paid the price. Do you think that the connections are going to say, okay, I don't want a repeat of that. I'm going to sit off, even if that's not my horse's best game?
Yeah.
If he does that, that could give Guidou an advantage.
Yeah, right. I don't really know what they can do with this horse, Dan, because it's not like there's a race on his page that you can point to and say, see, look, if you take him off the pace, he runs fine. All of his good races are when they use his speed. I just wonder if they, employ the same tactics here and try and clear to the front.
I have a feeling we have yet to see the best of Mr. Dumas, who's making his first start for Michael Maker. He was a graded stakes winner last year. Once they stretched him out, he seemed to improve. The Hollywood Derby was just a tough spot for him at Del Mar, and he didn't run very well. I think that Maker's found a good spot for his comeback at middle distances off the layoff. Maybe not the toughest field in the world. I wonder if he needs one, but I think we'll be hearing more from him this year.
I kind of agree with all that stuff. I'm very interested to see what he does here. I think he's an interesting horse in this race if he goes off at some kind of big price, because his turf form last year was actually pretty good. I mean, he's got a nice running style, too, where he can close, but he doesn't have to be way out of it. There's plenty to like about this horse.
English B, multiple stakes winner last year. Really don't want to take away too much from this horse, but when he won the Murphy, he just got a perfect trip, saving ground in behind horses. Couldn't have gotten better. And in the Virginia Derby, he got a perfect setup. Up close to just glacial fractions. You could argue that the closer, J.S.'s Solitude, was the best horse in that race. He has the tactical speed, though, to make those trips.
Yeah, he can get a good trip in this race. I sort of felt like he was a horse who really needed to improve as a 4-year-old. Not that that's not out of the question. He could do it. I just feel like he has to do it against a field like this one.
The last time Guidou won, we were at the track and watched him wire Annals of Time when he just blasted away to the front end and caught that horse something like a 400-and-something day layoff. Since then, they've gotten wise to Guidou's tactics, or Guidou goes too fast against better horses and it doesn't work against him. Let's watch his race in the tropical turf, because again, he'd already put away Gemantier, and now he's down on the inside feeling the early exertion start to get to him. But all in all, not a bad effort to run second after battling on the front.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's true. I don't love the horse that beat him in this race, Dan. That sort of bothers me. I know that he lasted for second, but there's really nobody running from the back of the pack. I don't know. I just don't really know what to say about him, Dan. I know that he's fast. I know that he's got a one race or two on his card that make him look pretty good. I just overall don't love his form.
I've always been a big fan of Louder Than Bombs. I thought he did some good work at Gulfstream on the turf without winning last year. The last time he won, I thought Ricard Santaz gave him a great ride, realizing not a lot of pace in that race. Let's just go for it. They battled through moderate fractions, and he just held on at the wire. But since then, I thought in the Commonwealth turf, he was okay to the top of the lane, and then he tired very badly. And then they ran him on synthetic. I'm not sure he's a graded stakes Gulfstream Championship meet kind of horse, but there's something for him down the road. And again, he is tactical enough to work out a trip.
I agree with all that. I'm not sure that he's this kind of horse either. What I like about him is, and even though they sort of started using his speed a little bit at the end of last year, I sort of like that he's run good races from off the pace, too. They really have an opportunity here to take him back and make a run, and that could really work out for this horse.
Musical Heart ran okay last time out, all things considered. It was an optional claimer, his first start off a little bit of a layoff, and he caught Bala Rocks, who on his best day is a graded stakes caliber horse, would certainly fit in a race like this or at longer distances. He's improved in his last two races. I think you look at it from a class perspective, though, and you say this is a big step up.
Yeah, they're stepping up at the right time off of a couple of good races, but I just don't know that he's really a graded stakes kind of horse right now.
To me, the most intriguing horse in the race is Flying Scotsman, the last horse in the body of the field with a couple of also eligibles also in here. Graded stakes winner at 2 in the Cecil B. DeMille. Thought he had the potential to be a good 3-year-old. Missed a lot of time. Comes back in the American Derby, part of a fast pace. And I think he paid the price in that race. Expected more in the Saratoga Derby, just overmatched in that race. And then another layoff. I think the blinkers off is somewhat of an interesting move. I wonder if they decide to take him back and let him roll in the lane, because they have been using his speed.
they might not have any choice in this race from post 12, but just take back and try and make a run. I liked his woodchopper last time. I thought he ran well in that race. In behind for a long way, got in very tight in the stretch, but still came through to be second in that race. I liked that performance. If he had a better post, I might have put him on top. I didn't, but I'm going to use this horse.
He's all upside. He's trained by a very good horseman in Jack Sisterson. Let's take a look at our picks for the Grade 3 Canadian Turf. Hey, Dakota, I'm hoping to get a little bit of pace and maybe a similar ground-saving trip as last time out. He's my top selection in here. You've always been a big fan of Hembry, and we know he's good enough to win a race like this.
Yeah, I think he is. I'm just going to take the position that he needed that start at Tampa Bay off the long lay. He didn't run his best that day, but he's better than that. He might catch some pace to run into in this spot as well, which he really needs. I'm not against Hey Dakota. I put your horse second, but I'm going to give Hembry a chance to rebound here.
4-1-7-12 for Mike, 1-5-12-9 for me. It's the Grade 3 Canadian Turf. It's race number 11 at Gulfstream on Fountain of Youth Saturday, and it has an approximate post of 4:30 Eastern. Good luck.